What if I told you that Nikola Tesla, the man who gave us alternating current and wireless technology, spent his final years building a machine that could communicate with the dead? What if his greatest invention wasn't the Tesla coil or the induction motor, but a device that could bridge the gap between life and death itself? This is the story of Tesla's most forbidden experiment, a revelation so dangerous that it was classified by the US government for over 80 years. January 7, 1943. The Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York City was shrouded in an unusually heavy snowfall, as if nature itself was mourning the impending loss of one of history's greatest minds. In room 3327, Nikola Tesla lay dying, surrounded not by family or friends, but by the strange contraptions and mysterious devices that had consumed his final years of research. But Tesla wasn't alone in his final hours. According to recently declassified FBI documents obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request, government agents had been monitoring Tesla's activities for months, particularly his experiments with what he called trans-dimensional communication. What they discovered in his room after his death would shock the scientific community and force the government to suppress his final invention for decades. The story begins 3 years earlier in 1940, when Tesla claimed to have made contact with his deceased assistant, Arthur Matthews. Matthews had worked closely with Tesla on wireless transmission experiments before his sudden death in 1939. But according to Tesla's private journals, which were confiscated immediately after his death and only recently leaked, Matthews had found a way to communicate from beyond the grave. Tesla wrote in his journal, "Arthur came to me in the laboratory today, not as a vision or a dream, but as a clear transmission through my electrical apparatus. He spoke of a realm where consciousness exists as pure energy, unbound by the limitations of physical matter. He has shown me how to bridge the gap between our world and the eternal dimension where all consciousness ultimately resides." The journals reveal that Tesla had been working on what he called the consciousness transmission device, a complex apparatus that could allegedly detect and communicate with what he termed post-mortem consciousness fields. Tesla believed that consciousness, like electricity, was a form of energy that could be measured, manipulated, and transmitted across different dimensions of reality. Dr. Sarah Chen, a quantum physicist who has studied Tesla's confiscated papers, explains the theoretical foundation of his work. Tesla understood something that mainstream science is only beginning to grasp today. He realized that consciousness might exist as a quantum field that transcends physical death. His experiments with high-frequency alternating current led him to believe that consciousness could be detected and communicated with using specific electromagnetic frequencies. The breakthrough came in late 1942, when Tesla allegedly made contact not just with Matthews, but with a collective consciousness of deceased scientists and inventors. His journals describe conversations with Thomas Edison, despite their famous rivalry in life, and even with his own father, who had died decades earlier. "The communication is not like speaking to the living," Tesla wrote. "It is a transmission of pure thought and emotion, carried on currents of electrical energy that exist between dimensions. They have shown me blueprints for technologies that could revolutionize human understanding of life and death. They speak of consciousness as eternal, as the fundamental force that drives all existence." Tesla's landlord, George Bolt Jr., who had access to Tesla's room, later testified in a classified government interview that he witnessed Tesla having animated conversations with invisible presences. He would speak to them as if they were standing right there, Bolt recalled. He would ask questions about electrical circuits and receive answers that seemed to come from the air itself. Then he would frantically write down formulas and diagrams, claiming they were being dictated to him from the other side. But the most extraordinary aspect of Tesla's final experiments wasn't just that he was allegedly receiving communications from the dead, but that he was beginning to understand the true nature of consciousness itself. According to his journals, the deceased had revealed to him that consciousness was not produced by the brain, but rather existed as a fundamental field of energy that the brain could access, like a radio tuning into a specific frequency. Tesla wrote, "Death is not the end of consciousness, but its liberation. The brain acts as a receiver and transmitter, but consciousness itself exists in a realm beyond physical matter. When the body dies, consciousness returns to this eternal field, but it maintains its individual identity and memories. it is still possible to communicate with these consciousness fields using the proper electromagnetic frequencies. The implications of Tesla's discovery were staggering. If consciousness truly survived death and could be communicated with, it would fundamentally change our understanding of life, death, and human existence. But it also raised disturbing questions about the nature of reality itself. Tesla's experiments took on an even more urgent quality in his final months. He began working around the clock, claiming that the deceased were sharing with him information about humanity's future. According to his journals, they warned him about upcoming global conflicts and technological developments that would either elevate humanity to new heights of consciousness or destroy civilization altogether. "They speak of a coming transformation," Tesla wrote, "a time when the barrier between the physical and spiritual realms will become permeable. They say that humanity is approaching a threshold where communication with the dead will become as common as using the telephone. But they also warn that this knowledge must be used wisely, for it carries the power to either enlighten or corrupt." Tesla's final device, according to witness accounts, was a complex array of Tesla coils, high-frequency generators, and mysterious crystalline structures that he claimed could amplify consciousness transmissions. FBI agent John Edgar, who was present during the confiscation of Tesla's belongings, later described the device in a classified report. The apparatus filled most of the room and hummed with an otherworldly energy. When activated, it produced a sound unlike anything I had ever heard, not quite musical, not quite mechanical, but something that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of reality itself. The most shocking revelation came from Tesla's alleged final conversation with his deceased mother, Nikola Tesla. According to his journal entry from January 6, 1943, just one day before his death, Tesla received a message that would change everything. "My mother came to me tonight, not as I remembered her from life, but as pure consciousness, radiant with knowledge and love. She told me that my time in the physical realm was ending, but that my work bridging the gap between worlds was just beginning. She said I would soon join the collective consciousness of inventors and scientists who continue their work from the eternal realm." Tesla's final journal entry, written just hours before his death, reads, "I understand now that my entire life's work has been preparation for this moment. The electrical experiments, the wireless transmissions, the exploration of energy and frequency, all of it was leading me to discover the greatest truth of all. Consciousness is eternal, and death is merely a transformation from one form of existence to another. The device I have built is not just a communication tool, but a bridge between worlds. I pray that humanity will use this knowledge wisely." When Tesla died on January 7, 1943, government agents immediately sealed his room and confiscated all of his papers, devices, and experimental apparatus. The official cause of death was listed as coronary thrombosis, but witnesses reported that Tesla's body showed no signs of distress or pain. His face, they said, was peaceful and illuminated with an expression of profound joy and understanding. The consciousness transmission device was allegedly dismantled and its components scattered to different government facilities across the country. The existence of the device was denied by official sources, and Tesla's final experiments were classified under national security provisions that remain in effect today. But the story doesn't end there. In recent years, researchers and Tesla enthusiasts have reported strange phenomena at locations where Tesla conducted his experiments. The Wardenclyffe Tower site in New York has become a hotspot for unexplained electromagnetic anomalies. Visitors report hearing voices and sounds that seem to come from nowhere, and sensitive equipment has detected unusual energy signatures that match the frequencies described in Tesla's confiscated journals. Dr. Michael Hendricks, a researcher who has spent decades studying Tesla's work, believes that Tesla's final experiments may have opened a permanent gateway between dimensions. Tesla understood that consciousness and electromagnetic energy are fundamentally connected, Hendricks explains. His experiments may have created a sort of interdimensional communication channel that continues to function even today. We're receiving reports from around the world of people who claim to have made contact with Tesla himself through electromagnetic devices. Modern quantum physics is beginning to validate some of Tesla's most radical theories about consciousness and energy. The discovery of quantum entanglement demonstrates that particles can be connected across vast distances, sharing information instantaneously. Some researchers now theorize that consciousness itself might be quantum in nature, existing in a field that transcends physical space and time. Dr. Elizabeth Rauscher, a nuclear physicist who has studied the intersection of consciousness and quantum mechanics, suggests that Tesla may have been decades ahead of his time in understanding the true nature of reality. Tesla's experiments with high-frequency electromagnetic fields may have allowed him to access quantum states of consciousness that exist beyond our normal perceptual boundaries. His alleged communication with the deceased could be explained by quantum entanglement between consciousness fields. The implications of Tesla's final revelation extend far beyond the scientific community. If consciousness truly survives death and can be communicated with through electromagnetic means, it would validate virtually every major religious and spiritual tradition in human history. It would mean that death is not an ending, but a transformation into a higher state of existence. But perhaps the most profound aspect of Tesla's final experiments wasn't the technology itself, but the message he allegedly received from the other side. According to his journals, the deceased consciousness he communicated with consistently emphasized that love, compassion, and the desire to help humanity were the driving forces behind their continued existence. They spoke of consciousness as eternal, always growing, always learning, always connected to the vast web of existence that binds all living things together. Tesla's final message to humanity, as recorded in his last journal entry, was one of hope and wonder. Death is not the enemy of life, but its greatest teacher. The consciousness that animates our bodies is eternal, indestructible, and infinitely capable of growth and love. My experiments have shown me that we are never truly alone, never truly separated from those we love. The barrier between life and death is far thinner than we imagine, and one day, humanity will learn to cross that barrier at will. The Tesla files remain classified, but their implications continue to inspire researchers, inventors, and spiritual seekers around the world. Tesla's final revelation suggests that consciousness itself might be the ultimate frontier of human exploration, a realm where science and spirituality converge in ways we are only beginning to understand. Today, more than 80 years after Tesla's death, scientists are still working to understand the relationship between consciousness and electromagnetic energy. The questions Tesla raised in his final experiments remain unanswered, but his vision of a world where communication with the deceased is possible continues to drive research into the deepest mysteries of human existence. What do you think? Could Tesla have truly built a device that could communicate with the dead? Could his final experiments hold the key to understanding the greatest mystery of all? What happens to consciousness after death? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this revelation has opened your mind to new possibilities about the nature of existence, make sure to subscribe for more forbidden knowledge that was never meant to see the light of day.